What is digital marketing? In this video, we're going to discuss exactly that, but we're also going to dig a little bit deeper to see how digitalization has really changed and affected the world of marketing. Hi, my name's Ed. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer here at Career Foundry, and I've been working in digital marketing for over 12 years. So let's shine a light on this exciting industry. Have you ever been influenced by a blog post and changed your behavior as a consequence? Or perhaps you've seen a social media ad and thought, how can they read my mind? So all of these are examples of digital marketing. But to understand digital marketing, we first need to understand what marketing is. So let's start with a simple question. Why do companies have marketing departments? Why do companies have digital marketing departments? Well, regardless of how good your product or service is, it's very likely that you're going to need to inform and promote it. And this kind of communication needs to be both targeted and creative to both educate and inspire. Marketing at its core is essentially all about the communication of value. The ultimate aim of this communication is essentially to change, to influence, to inspire a certain kind of behavior, which could be to purchase something, but it could also be something completely different. For example, it could be to vote for a particular candidate in a political campaign, or it could be to change a certain behavior in order to live a more healthy lifestyle. But it's important to remember that marketing, or the principles of marketing, what underlies marketing, is a very human behavior. And it's a very human thing to want to influence someone in their own best interests. And it's also a very human thing to be influenced by someone. But how is this represented within a company? Well, basically, most companies have some kind of marketing department, whether it's a couple of people in a small startup or hundreds of people in a multinational company. And if we want to categorize what this marketing department focuses on, we can look at the 4 P's of marketing, which are essentially as old as marketing itself. And they are product, place, price, and promotion. So let's look at the 4 P's in a little bit more detail, starting with product. Product in marketing is basically looking at the features and the benefits of the product or service that make it attractive to the target market. And it's also looking at how your product is differentiated, how it's different to other similar products on the market. So number 2 is place, and this basically refers to where you market your product. And this might seem quite obvious. If you're a multinational company like Nike, you probably advertise your business all over the place. But then if you take a much smaller business like a local restaurant that maybe serves people within a radius of a couple of kilometers, their approach to marketing and the way that they do it is obviously going to be very different. Let's look at the 3rd P of marketing, which is price. So price really affects your perception of the quality of the product and also who it's aimed at. For example, with a high price, you might assume that there's a high status that comes with it. If you own a Rolex, if you own a Mercedes, it immediately elevates your status. Whereas if you own a lower price product, potentially lower quality or perceived as lower quality, then perhaps you don't have that sensation that it carries a lot of status with it. The 4th P of marketing is promotion. And this basically relates to all the marketing materials that are created around a product. So the campaigns that are generated, the blog posts, the social media posts. In fact, this is really what we think about when we think about marketing. So in order to fulfill these 4 P's of marketing, you need a whole department of marketers. You might have PR, you might have search engine marketing, you might have under that SEO and SEM, you might have market research, you might have CRO, you might have paid marketing or performance marketing, all these different roles working together in order to achieve this aim of the effective communication of value. So now we understand what marketing is. Let's look at digital marketing and get an understanding of how the digital world has changed traditional marketing. Now, obviously, marketing goes where the attention is. So 30, 40 years ago, maybe the majority of attention was on more traditional media like TV or like radio or like newspapers. But now, obviously, that attention is, or tends to be, in different places. For example, your mobile phone. And for that reason, a lot of the marketing has gone online to this digital world. But it's important to remember that digital marketing isn't only online marketing. Digital marketing really refers to marketing across any digital device. So digital marketing really took off in the 1990s with the first search engines and the first websites. And that all kind of changed then with the advent of Web 2.0. And Web 2.0 was Facebook and was YouTube and originally MySpace, but Reddit, all the social media platforms. And what was really fundamental to those social media platforms was that they were all about user-generated content. The next big change was the introduction of the iPhone and all the smartphones that followed it, because that meant that your time on the internet was no longer tied to a specific place, and this meant that you could be marketed to whilst you're out on the street looking for somewhere to eat or looking for a new pair of shoes or whatever it might be. So that brings me to the 5 main ways that the digital world has changed marketing. Firstly, there's the scale. Secondly, the speed. Thirdly, the cost. Then there's the data and measurement. And finally, there's the targeting. So let's talk about scale first of all. If we take one example from the traditional media, the Guardian newspaper from the UK, and turn back the clock to the 1980s, it had a readership of about 500,000 people. Now, if we fast forward to the modern day, it has over 100 million monthly visits. And this reach also exists in the marketing world. So the second point is speed, and there are basically 3 things that now happen much, much faster. First of all, it's just setting up the basic marketing apparatus for a company. You can open social media profiles, you can start ad accounts, you can do all those things very, very quickly with a couple of clicks. Secondly, the actual content production happens a lot quicker as well. So whether it's the video camera in front of me, or whether it's the design system or design platform like Canva that's accessible pretty much to everyone, all of these tools are much more readily available. And thirdly, learning about what's working, getting that data and iterating upon it is much, much quicker than it ever used to be because it happens essentially in real time. And attached to the speed is the cost. So the cost of actually getting started can be potentially almost zero apart from the time that you invest in it yourself. And this obviously has the effect that it opens up the whole market to new players. You don't need to be an established player with a lot of money to start competing. Point number 4 kind of references what I already mentioned, the data available to you to make those smart decisions. And linked to that is also the concept of targeting. But now you have platforms like YouTube, for example, or like Facebook or like TikTok, that have massively detailed data upon each and every user of their platform. And based on that data, so the kind of things that they've looked at in the past, the kind of things that they've bought in the past, that platform will have a very good idea as to whether your product or service is relevant to that person. And I think to kind of give you an idea of how marketing looks and how those roles fit into the world of digital marketing, it's important to understand a few different dichotomies, so a few different spectrums of marketing, so to speak. The first one is brand versus performance. Now, performance marketing generally focuses on short-term actions, trying to get someone to sign up for a newsletter or to purchase a low price point product. And brand is much more long-term and aims to build up the awareness of a certain product or service. Just think Volvo and safety, for example, versus Ferrari and adventure and excitement and speed. The second dichotomy that we want to understand is paid versus organic. On the paid side, you have a marketing budget that you use to place ads, typically on platforms like Google or Facebook or TikTok, for example. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have organic. And organic is essentially the production of marketing collateral and content that is supposed to carry itself to audiences on its own merit. So the third dichotomy I want to cover is acquisition versus nurture. So acquisition is generally bringing on new customers or people that aren't in any way aware of your products, so prospecting, for example. But nurture is then taking that new customer or new lead and then basically keeping them informed and up to date of product updates, of the product offering, to try and get them at the right time, to try and address them at the right time so they make that purchase decision. So why did I introduce these dichotomies to you? Well, if you kind of plug these dichotomies together, so if you take the world of brand, for example, and you're interested in this creative pursuit of association of emotions with a particular product, then it already kind of takes you in the direction to a certain kind of role within marketing. Maybe you want to be a copywriter that's working on the quality of copy in email communications. On the other side, if you're interested in performance and maybe that kind of fast-paced world of rapid feedback and rapid data feedback on the performance of your advertising materials, so then you're probably managing Facebook ads and Google ads, and you're managing a couple of $100,000 worth of advertising budgets as well. So you can see how you can have at one end of the spectrum this kind of brand marketer, at the other end of the spectrum this performance marketer. But to be honest, there are really a lot of roles in between those two and around those two as well. Let's take the example of Career Foundry. We have a marketing team of around 30 people, and I think that represents about 20 different roles as well, from influencer marketing to SEO, search engine optimization, to conversion rate optimization, to editorial, to copywriting, design, video production. All of these different roles that kind of represent a different mix of hard skills and soft skills. Now, unfortunately, this video will probably be about 2 hours long if I went into the details of every single role. But if you want to understand those different roles better, then I recommend you sign up for the free digital marketing short course in the description below this video. So now you've got a better understanding of the field, let's talk about the digital marketer themselves. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about the mentality of the digital marketer, and then we can talk a little bit about the skill set required to become a digital marketer. So let's look first at mentality. So a digital marketer or a marketer typically always wants more and better. They want to break through the noise and build trust and find the people that would most benefit from their product. And they want to provoke change through what they do. They basically want to change your mind. And in order to change their mind, they need to understand you. And to understand you, they need to be able to handle and interpret data. And from that data, pull out insights and basically come up with creative opportunities to communicate value. And this is both true of the performance marketer and the brand marketer. They're just doing it in slightly different ways. And in order to do this, you're probably going to follow a similar process. You're going to start out with your research. And then based on that research, you're probably going to have an ideation. So what kind of materials do you want to produce, and where do you want to use those materials, and how do you want to measure the performance of those materials? Once you've decided that, you probably enter the production phase. So you've gone from research to ideation, and now you're in production, and you're actually producing those marketing materials either yourself or you're working with your design team, your copy team to do exactly that. And once you've produced your materials, you need to get them out into the world, and that's what we call distribution. So you have your social media ad or your performance ad, and you want to get it out onto those social media platforms so that people see them and react to them. And that brings us to the final stage, which is the analysis. So basically appraising and evaluating the performance and the effectiveness of the assets that you've produced. So what are the skills required to manage the process? Well, on the research side, then you need to have those analytical skills. You need to either be able to manage quantitative data or also manage the kind of research that goes into generating qualitative data, whether that's interviews with potential customers or whether it's surveys, all those kinds of research methods in order to build up this data from which you can pull out insights. And the next step is really kind of stakeholder management, so collaborative work. Maybe you're producing the marketing materials on your own, but more often than not, you'll be working with other team members to do so. And you need to be able to collaborate and communicate with them in order to produce exactly what you want to produce. Next up, ideation. Well, there you need to have these abilities to kind of interpret data, but also to tell a good story. So how are you going to take this data and turn it into something that's meaningful and relevant for your target audience? Then moving on to production. With production, it's really about either specific technical skills like video production or copywriting, or more often than not, some kind of stakeholder management where you're collaborating and communicating with a wider team in order to produce really good marketing materials. And once produced, what skills are necessary to distribute? Well, here you probably need some kind of tool-related skill. So you might have a specialist in SEM who knows the Google ad platform, or you might have a performance or paid social marketer, for example, who really knows the Facebook or Meta marketing platform. And then finally, we come back around to the analysis phase. And here you again need some data handling skills, and you need to understand your metrics in order to be able to ascertain and communicate whether your campaign has been effective or not. So now you know what digital marketing is, you know how digital has impacted the world of marketing, you understand the kind of processes or the daily work of a marketer, the skills necessary to do it. The final question is, how do you become a digital marketer? So continue along this trajectory, watch more videos, read blog posts, listen to audiobooks. And then once you've kind of been through that process of self-learning, you might find that you're ready for a more structured course or program. And that's where a program like Career Foundry's digital marketing program comes in, because we take you from beginner all the way through to job ready, and we help you land your first job as well. And if you can show an enthusiasm and some experience, some kind of a track record, then you're in a good place to get a junior or entry-level job at a company. So that's kind of an abbreviated guide to becoming a digital marketer. If you'd like to understand more concrete steps or a roadmap to becoming a digital marketer, just let us know in the comments, and that's a video that we would love to make for you too. So if you're finding this video useful, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have a ton more digital marketing content on the way. And if you're still exploring the field and you want to dig a little bit deeper, don't forget we have a digital marketing short course designed for beginners to introduce you to the field, to the roles, to the metrics and the skills that you need to become a successful digital marketer. If you want to sign up, the link is in the description below this video. We've also just released another video on digital marketing trends. If you want to see how the field is evolving and how we think it's going to evolve in the future, be sure to check that one out too. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.